So we're going to start with a review of where we're going with today's agenda and just a preview of where we're going tomorrow for those of you who are curious. So, I think we might be getting our microphone going here. Is this one on now? Okay, now all our mics are working.
Testing mic check.
So this afternoon we'll be spending a bit of time to start with hearing some more of your conversations. So hopefully you've had good conversations over lunch, and we're going to give you some prompting questions and see what has been shared and what you'd like to share with the whole group. And then we'll hear a bit more of from our systems level work. We'll hear from some folks about the strategic level of modeling, get some more feedback on that, take a little break, and then we'll hear about our communication and outreach efforts. So don't forget, if you're interested in hearing the forum on funding, so a few key funding opportunities and networks that work in the agricultural biosecurity space, that forum will be taking place at the Cambria Hotel, and we have dinner at 6, followed by the forum beginning at 7 this evening. Tomorrow's workshop on discussions about forming a community of practice around agricultural biosecurity will also be at the Cambria. So we hope as many of you can come and participate. We have a very diverse set of folks on our registration list, so we are looking forward to the conversations that we will have with that group tomorrow. So unless there are any questions that someone would like answered right now, you can always flag me down. I'd like to turn the mic over to Matt Myers, who's going to be facilitating our first afternoon session.
Thank you. Can you all hear me okay? Yeah. I got the best slot in the day because you're all half asleep already. The blood is going to your belly instead of your brain. But who learned something this morning from this incredible team, these teams? Who learned something that really stuck with you? What really stuck with you? All right. And so I certainly, whenever I listen to the activity that has been going on, it blows me away, definitely. And I think about, well, how can we spread the love? How can we spread these approaches and these theories and apply them in our own work? So we're going to just start right now to reflect a little bit about, if you had all the money in the world, apparently that's going to be the next grant cycle, all the money in the world, how would you integrate some of the things that were talked about this morning in your work? And so if you think about that for a minute, and then find at least 2 friends. I know all of you have at least 2 friends, or make 2 new friends, or more, and just share, think about it and share what you could do with this approach, with these approaches in your commodity, if it's different or if it's the same. How could you expand this in your work? What are your questions about that? All right, find a couple friends or more, and we'll hear from you in about 10 minutes or 15. So thanks for turning your attention back up to the microphone. It looked like that was not a difficult task to do for you to really get into that pretty quickly. So we have about 10 minutes to hear some of your conversation. So what did you either hear or say that you think reflected the question of how could we use this in our work, or something variation thereof? And we have, who would share? Okay, hold on a second.
Can you say your name, please?
Yes, I'm Betsy Green. And we were just talking about the different audiences, generations, even individuals, that when you were talking about this works with this group, but not with these, non-rule followers, and how do you balance that? But some of the other things on how to get this out, we're trying to figure out. We have a lot of us in the generation that know we need to do this, and plan and listen and all that, but are we planning it in a way that our younger generations will take it, listen, value it, whatever? So those.
Send them an email, because if you're planning on that, you probably should.
Yeah, so I think we need to Instagram or something now. So, and then we also just talked about policy tending to be the stick rather than the carrot, and if there were ways to figure out, if there were other ways besides money, because nobody has money, to have some different carrots as opposed to sticks.
Nice. Okay. Well, thank you. So remember your audience, right? Are they your age or are they younger? And also think about how could we have enticements instead of just rules? How about others? You were pretty talkative before.
Thanks. Ann Lichtenmolner from University of Maine. Well, we just, 3 vets sitting here. All of us are pretty aware of the issues and challenges around backyard farms, and they don't necessarily have to comply with a lot of rules, and they don't like to. So I was just using an example of Whole Foods. So they helped me with one of my small, medium-sized layer producers, egg producers, and they decided that they would indeed buy this guy's eggs, but he had to have SE testing that was equivalent to the FDA-mandated egg rule testing. And that was terrific, because now we had, and he's an Amish farmer, and he talks to his friends. So it was a market force that helped us implement a good change.
Yeah, that's great. I was just in a very small egg production unit, and I was thinking, is this really a clean place? I'm not sure it really is. Thank you. Yes, please.
Okay, Gabriela Buccini, University of Vermont. So we were really stuck with the idea of having infinite money. We really like the idea. We have a lot of money. And the 2 issues we would like to tackle is, maintaining the biosecurity, so use some of the messaging. How do we message? How do we develop even more this messaging and communication to help maintaining the biosecurity level that we want? And these also linked to the willingness, the problem actually of, how can I express this, like helping producers seeing, or stakeholders in general in the production, seeing the importance of investing now for long term. So what we haven't helping them to see that it might not be an immediate return, but on the long term, there is really a return on investing in biosecurity.
Did you have something else you were going to say?
No, I think
Thank you for that. And so how do you convince someone to spend money now to save later? I know that 40% of people my age don't have any retirement, so we are up against it, right? Because if they didn't plan for retirement, are they going to plan to stop a disease going across the nation? So thanks for, that's a big challenge to consider. Thank you. Who else? We haven't heard anyone from this engaging table back here.
Careful what you wish for, Gabriel.
Go ahead.
So there was a lot of discussion about the joys of soap and dry skin. So I think it was the message that we were discussing was the one that came out of that meeting where the guy told me that I'd just be happy if I could get my guys to use soap. And when we start thinking about these facilities that actually have shower in and shower out, to me, the idea of not showering out is like I'm leaving the facility where there's anything possibly bad. You might not use soap in that situation. If you didn't, what are you actually bringing out into the real world? It's kind of terrifying to think about some of these situations. So that is, it was a nice.
So you all ended up terrified.
Yeah, right.
I ended up being cookies.
I was terrified I'd eat a third one of those little brownie things. Okay, who else would like to share? Ways that you would have considered adapting? Well, let's hear from one of our younger graduate students. Danielle.
Well, I had the pleasure of sitting next to three education specialists for disaster relief. Disaster education. And a lot of what I heard was helping facilitate change through hands-on, like, if you had all the money in the world, hiring someone to help farmers in the process of making that change and kind of guiding them through that. Would any of you like to say more about that? No?
So the education component of it, and how do you get that out to everybody?
Taking that, So this morning we were talking about the messaging and that perception, and one of the things was if it wasn't as much cost to me, I'd be more apt to do it, or if there was some other benefit to it. So if we had all the money in the world and here's the person to help you, with that biosecurity plan and get these things in place, so it's not your time and investment, putting that in place.
Well, it's interesting because if you think of the social marketing approach, it's not just the messages. You can do a lot of research on the audience and what messages that they will respond to. But if there are still barriers that haven't been addressed, then you probably won't make a whole lot of progress. We found that out with a roll-bar program that I'll talk to you about tomorrow morning, where we had to remove those barriers, and that's when the program really took off. The message is still important, though.